All right, so I just wanted to talk about the current value for the number one overall pick and just some other things I found interesting as I was scrolling through Twitter this morning. So this is the first, you take a look at this, the Chicago Bears, 99.9% chance they're going to trade the number one overall pick. This is a Pro Football Focus estimation on the market values. If they go from just 1 to 2, it has the Bears also getting 33 and 104. So I got, man, that if you're a Houston fan, that has to be so tough to stomach considering you had the number one overall pick all but locked up going into that last game. As long as you lose, I think they converted like some crazy 4th and 20 or something and ended up winning. So, let's say that Houston falls in love with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Will Levis or whoever, and they're like, look, we're concerned about another team jumping up to that number one spot, trading with Chicago to take the guy that we wanted. In that scenario, you would see Houston trade from 2 to 1. And if you're Chicago, I mean, it's so unbelievable that you ended up with the number one overall pick. You're literally trading down one spot, getting an extra early second rounder, basically just replacing that pick you gave up to get Chase Claypool, and you're also getting 104, and you also still have your choice of the best defensive player, by the way, between Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, because if Houston trades up, they're obviously going to take a quarterback, whoever that may be. The Indianapolis Colts, they're kind of the other main team I see in contention. It would be the number 4th overall pick, 35-79, and a first in 2024, along with a third. That's to move from 4 to 1. And if you're the Bears, that's another very intriguing possibility. Because yes, Arizona is probably staying put at 3, and I would guess that Arizona would take Will Anderson, but you're still looking at getting Jalen Carter, you're looking at getting an early second rounder, and you're also getting an extra first round pick in 2024 along with a third rounder. And then really, I don't think the Raiders are going to make the jump from number 7 to number 1. I still maintain the belief that Aaron Rodgers will be with Vegas. It just makes too much sense. It's too box office. But if the Raiders fell in love with someone, maybe Will Levis, CJ Stroud, or Bryce Young, it has them giving up 738-70, a 2024 first and second rounder. I actually think they'd probably have to give up even more than that, but I don't know the exact market value of the number one overall pick. I think it's all dependent on the demand that the quarterbacks have at the top. And then the Carolina Panthers, this would be very surprising. They would have to give up 3 first-round picks, their number 9 overall pick, their second-round pick, and a 2024 and 2025 first-round pick, which seems not realistic. The more realistic thing, if the Carolina Panthers want to draft a quarterback, a lot of mock drafts I have been seeing recently have the Panthers trading from like number 9 to number 6, or number 9 to number 5 with Seattle or with Detroit, and possibly getting like Will Levis. That's been the favorite to Carolina that I've seen in terms of the mock drafts. So honestly, I think we're going to see one of either Houston or Indianapolis trade up to that number 1 spot. Seems unlikely the Raiders or the Panthers would, but that is kind of like the sweepstakes for the number 1 overall pick. Another situation here with Kyler Murray, and it's just so bad, like the what's actually going on. It says the vibes are off right now, man. He's not playing till November right now. So apparently that's, I don't know, maybe speculation coming out of Arizona that Kyler Murray might not be back until November. I mean, either way, this situation is effed up. Because let's say Kyler Murray comes back in October. He's going to be rusty. It's basically like Deshaun Watson this year. He's not going to be, he comes back midseason. It's just a horrible situation for Arizona. They've already given him that massive contract. What do you do? If you are the Cardinals, do you seriously consider just sitting Kyler the entire year, going through a tank, seeing if you can trade Kyler and get rid of that contract, drafting Will Anderson this year, getting the best defensive player, and then possibly getting Caleb Williams at number 1 overall next year? I mean, I don't know what you do, but at this point, Kyler Murray was already a quarterback that very risky considering his height. Now he suffers a massive injury. Maybe he'll come back and he'll be 100%, but there is a huge risk with that because his biggest asset is being able to jitterbug in the pocket and maneuver. So, I mean, I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do with Kyler Murray. The idea that the Cardinals are going to try and play out next year with the idea like, oh, we're going to get Kyler back mid-season and think he's not going to be ridiculously rusty, and it's just such a bad situation. It's almost like Carolina's better cutting their losses next year, going full tank, and then if you have the number 1 overall pick, you can trade it for a king's ransom if you want to stick with Kyler Murray, or you can try and trade Kyler Murray, but at that point, if Kyler Murray sits out all of next year, you've got to start wondering, what's his value look like? I mean, it depreciates considerably considering the contract, and you also have to remember the Arizona Cardinals, you know, they struggled to hire a head coach because nobody wanted that Kyler Murray contract that they're tethered to. So, you know, it's just a bad situation right now, I feel like, in Arizona. Moving on, we've got Michael Thomas saying that the NFL medical sucks and is cheap and uneducated. And it's just so sad. I mean, Michael Thomas has fallen he's had 3 prime years just completely derailed by injuries. And I guess it's gotten to him so bad to where he's made his Twitter like you can't reply to his tweets because I guess he gets so much hate about being injury prone, and he's just going off on the NFL for how their team, you know, how their medical team is and whatever. I mean, listen, he's had 3 straight prime years derailed by injuries. He was on a Hall of Fame path, and now his career, I mean, it's just been completely crushed, and this was a crazy rulement. You look at that tweet, it says an Eagles player got awarded $43 million that is a crazy amount of money. So they must have really messed up his knee or something. I didn't even see that reported anywhere else other than there. We've got multiple NFL scouts reporting that they believe Will Anderson is comparable to Von Miller. So, yeah, I mean, I think Will Anderson's actually a little bit quicker than Von Miller. But, yeah, Will Anderson, to me, is the best defensive player in this draft by far. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals and you get a team like Chicago that trades down to, like, number 4, you know, you're talking about a quarterback going 1st and 2nd overall, and you're just drafting Will Anderson. There's no 2 ways about it if you're Arizona. You know, get that franchise defensive pass rusher. If you guys don't know, go look up Will Anderson's sophomore stats at Alabama. His junior year was a little down, but I mean, dude, if you're gonna have 17 sacks your second year, 34 tackles for loss, the numbers are absurd. And it's just like a complete opposite from Jalen Carter. And I know you can argue, well, Jalen Carter's an interior defensive lineman, but dude, I am not touching Jalen Carter with a 10-foot pole with his numbers and his production at Georgia. You know, I'm just staying away from drafting a guy like that inside the top 5. DK Metcalf reveals the NFL asked him to get drug tested following his NBA All-Star performance. I mean, what do we think of DK Metcalf? I mean, DK Metcalf is either on steroids or he won the genetic 1 in a million lottery with how DK Metcalf looks. I mean, it is crazy. And then there was that little Twitter video circulating of him jumping like 20 stories into the air that I believe I saw was proven to be edited, but it was still a really impressive jump. Yeah, DK Metcalf is just ridiculous, and they're drug testing him left and right. NFL rumors, Eric Bieniemy was told the Commanders plan to go forward with Sam Howell at QB before taking the job. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It just seems like at this point, these teams are so desperate for any type of quarterback. Sam Howell actually had a significant amount of hype going into his junior season, and he was like projected to be a top 5 or a top 6 pick along with Spencer Rattler, I believe. Or was that the next year? I don't know. It was one of the years, and Sam Howell had a really bad season or just didn't live up to it and actually fell all the way down to the 5th round. I think the first pick in the 5th round of the Commanders. But Sam Howell is a mobile quarterback, kind of like I don't want to say a worse version of Baker Mayfield because I mean, that's not an endorsement, but he's very Baker Mayfield-esque in the way he moves and throws in the pocket. I mean, you just look at that photo of him throwing, that looks like Baker Mayfield legitimately. So, we'll see what Eric Bieniemy can do. They do have some talent on that offense. Brian Robinson, a young running back. You've got Curtis Samuel, kind of a Swiss Army knife. Jahan Dotson, a first-round pick that kind of showed out a little bit towards the end of the year. And then the number one receiver, Terry McLaurin. So we will see what happens there. How about this throwback? So I saw this on Twitter, and I had to save it. The Browns are back. So this was the Browns with Baker Mayfield trading for Odell Beckham, trading for Jarvis Landry. Cleveland's first division title in 30 years. A bold prediction on that. So, that's a sweet throwback. It's just crazy how quickly time flies in the NFL and where those guys are at now and stuff like that. 2023 mock draft 1.0. So this is no trades. This is a top 10 with no trades. Will Anderson going number 1, Bryce Young at number 2, Jalen Carter 3, CJ Stroud 4, Tyree Wilson 5. I would be strongly against drafting Christian Gonzalez 6 overall. Will Levis to the Raiders. Miles Murphy. I mean, Miles Murphy is falling out of the first round in a lot of mock drafts that I've seen, and for good reason. He really didn't produce much at Clemson. I mean, he's a really unique athlete, but when it comes to production, I have a saying, all athleticism, no production. And a lot of guys like that get picked early and they end up being busts in the NFL if they don't produce in college. Anthony Richardson at number 9, and then Devin Witherspoon. So that's a very chalky mock draft, I will say, outside of Miles Murphy. And really, Miles Murphy was going inside the top 10 like a month ago. He's really not going there anymore. Longtime Packers writer predicts that if 4-time MVP does want to return to Green Bay, he'll be the backup to Jordan Love. The media keeps getting worse and worse and more pathetic every single day with the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I mean, these people are just such clowns. Cardinals receiver Robbie Anderson has legally changed his name to Chosen Anderson. So congratulations to him. You can see it's official. He tweeted out, I guess someone kept messaging him saying, great news, your motion has been granted, your name is legally changed, and now his name is Chosen Anderson. And so I guess that's happening. And then how about this report? Cowboys are intrigued by quarterback CJ Stroud. How about the Dallas Cowboys trading Dak Prescott for a top 10 pick and then trading the top 10 pick they got for Dak Prescott along with their first round pick to move up and draft CJ Stroud. 300 IQ, but played by the Cowboys. But I mean, honestly, this is just probably a troll, or I think people just report random stuff just to be funny. The Cowboys need Dak Prescott to play way better. You can't be allocating $38, $40, $45 million per year to the quarterback position only for your quarterback to throw 15 interceptions in like 12 starts, which is what Dak did. So Dak just has to be better. You're giving him way too much money to be that turnover prone. I just thought that report was pretty funny. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.